So, last time we came to the end of uh, the canto, that is the secret knowledge, and today we are in a new one, that is the fifth canto, the yoga of the king, the yoga of the spirits, freedom and greatness. So, all this is very interesting, one after the other we are finding. Now here what we see through the poet's eyes, that is Sri Aurobindo, that Ashapati in his upward journey, he is looking at the state of affairs of man as he is now. And we'll just read out the whole passage and dwell upon these. Here, even the highest rapture time can give is a mimicry of ungrasped beatitudes, a mutilated statue of ecstasy, a wounded happiness that cannot leave, a brief felicity of mind or sense, thrown by the world power to her body slave, or a simulacrum of enforced delight in the seraglios of ignorance. For all we have acquired soon loses worth. An old disvalued credit in time's bank, imperfection's check drawn on the inconscient. An inconsequence dogs every effort made, and chaos waits on every cosmos formed. In each success, a seed of failure lurks. He saw the doubtfulness of all things here, the incertitude of man's proud, confident thought, the transience of achievements of his foes. A thinking being in an unthinking world, an island in the sea of the unknown. He is a smallness trying to be great, an animal with some instincts of a god, his life a story too common to be told. His deeds a number summing up to naught, his consciousness a torch lit to be quenched, his hope a star above a cradle and a grave. And yet, this is the caption line for the day which we have chosen, and yet a greater destiny may be his, for the eternal spirit is his truth. He can recreate himself and all around, and fashion new the world in which he lives. He, ignorant, is the knower beyond time. He is the self above nature, above fate. Some beautiful lines in this whole passage where Ashapati is looking at the state of affairs of man, and he sees and finds that here even the highest rapture time can give is a mimicry of ungrasped beatitude. So, whatever is here on earth within the ambit of time, whatever rapture is the ecstasy, ananda, whatever it can give us within time's frame is a mimicry of ungrasped beatitudes. Mimicry of what? Of the state of divine afflatus up there in the divine spheres. But here it seems to be a mimicry of the true felicity, true rapture, which is there up above in the divine planes of consciousness. But here it is a mimicry, a mutilated statue of ecstasy. Mutilated is distorted. A wounded happiness that cannot live. A brief felicity of mind or sense thrown by the world power to her body slave, or a simulacrum of enforced delight in the seraglios of ignorance. So, basically what he is leading us to, all the earth can give to us is, all that joy earth can give to us, which is the times framework, is transient in nature. It cannot stay for long. Even if we take it for granted that this is the joy which can be had, which we can have in our life, but all this is very transient and cannot fetch us much. It always carries its shadows, its opposites, because this moment, at the very moment when we think that yes, this is it, what we were looking for in our life, this is the joy, but the very next moment we face the opposite and everything is snatched away from us. The rapture, the joy, the ananda. That is because it is a mutilated state here on earth, a mimicry. That is why he says it's a mimicry of ungrasped beatitude above. And also he says that it is a simulacrum of enforced delight. What is a simulacrum? It is a deceptive similitude. It is not even a true copy, but something that pretends to be that. Seraglio, again, is a harem, Seraglio, I think, so far as I can remember, it is a Turkish term, means harem. In harem, what they used to do, they used to keep women folk and also slaves. All those emperors, they used to keep them in an enclosure where no other public could come in. So, earth is also like this. It's a deceptive simile. So, whatever man can have here, it is something which is not true, not absolutely true. It is a copy over here on earth, which we try to have as joy, but it is only in a deceptive or mutilated form. For all we have acquired soon loses worth, an old disvalued credit in time's bank, imperfections check drawn on the inconscient. Once we acquire that for which we always strive, we always struggle for something, that this must be achieved at whatever cost. So we put all our efforts in that particular venture, finally to find that it loses worth afterwards, because that also is transient in nature. Transient means temporary. It doesn't have the value that we thought it had. So that is why it is said, he says it beautifully, an old disvalued credit in time's bank. So all this arena of earth is in the ambit of time. And what is time? It is somewhat like a unit which can measure everything, and nothing can go beyond it. So it is not eternal. So an old disvalued credit in time's bank, a credit, a check. In the next line itself, we will find imperfection check drawn on the inconscient. Because our nature is imperfect, it is full of ignorance, not perfect in nature. Whatever we do, that means it is just like a check credited, but credited where? On the inconscient. The root is our inconscient, where all is dark and nothing is sure there. So it has to be given back. It doesn't have any value, so imperfections check drawn on the inconscient. It will be returned. And inconsequence dogs every effort made, and chaos waits on every cosmos formed. Every effort, whatever effort we make, all that we put in has no worthwhile consequence here. We put all our brain and organizational skill, whatever we have learned throughout our lives, we put everything into the way to achieve something, but out of it, it is a very, very little that we get. And in fact, on the contrary, chaos weighs on every cosmos formed. Whatever organization we have worked out painstakingly, putting stone after stone, everything in place, but still it has all those lacunas through which distortions come in, creep in, and finally all becomes a chaos of sort. That is why in each success a seed of failure lurks. In everything that we put in for our road to success, there is a seed of failure. We might seem, at the very beginning, we might seem to be very enthusiastic and confident also that yes, we have acquired the proficiency, the knowledge, and with this, the capacity, with this, we can go through and do the thing, achieve something, but as if in everything there is a seed of failure lurks, and it will sprout up suddenly to mar everything that we put so much value initially. This again makes us to recall what mother observed rather, that success is a greater taste than failure. To take success is an opportunity to become more humble and see how it is possible to improve upon it. Makes it a step towards a greater success. Because when someone becomes successful normally in something we do, we take it for granted that this is what it is and I have achieved it. And there is a complacency of sort which again leads us to our downfall. But then we do not realize that. But on the contrary, when we fail, then only there is an opportunity to learn that somewhere we have gone wrong. Then if we introspect, if we dwell upon all these things, taking together every possible angle, option, then something crops up that we have gone wrong somewhere. We have done a mistake. And then there's an opportunity to rectify ourselves. So that is the attitude which a spiritual seeker should have. Otherwise, success becomes a snare. Then he says, he saw the doubtfulness of all things here, the incertitude of man's proud, confident thought, the transience of the achievements of his force. Man's thought is very confident. He is very confident of his rightness, of his capacity, worth, and therefore he becomes proud. But cryptically, there is no certainty of human thought, because it cannot be the ultimate. Because soon, as we found out just now, soon it will lose its worth, because it has got a certain expanse beyond which it cannot go. It has its limitations, because again it is on earth we live, which is still full of ignorance. So even if man as a habit exerts himself, puts his will, his effort into action, and succeeds in some way or other, but every achievement turns out to be transient, temporary in nature. It cannot stay for long. And whatever he has done and taken as a result, which he succeeded in doing so, say for example, yesterday I have done something, I have achieved something after painstaking efforts and putting everything into it. Today, its fruit might not be for me to have, because it's another day, and there will be so many factors involved today which will eventually bring a lot of other permutation and combinations into the situation. And yesterday, whatever I achieved, it will not be so today. So a thinking being in an unthinking world, an island in the sea of the unknown, He is a smallness trying to be great, an animal with some instincts of a god. His life a story too common to be told. His deeds a number summing up to naught. His consciousness a torch lit to be quenched. His hope a star above a cradle and a grave. All these epithets which Sri Aurobindo uses, you just compare your own lives, our own life, let us compare, then we will find that everything, whatever he has written, touches our lives. We also are just like that, having all those traits in us, all those experiences in us, and we slowly move without even knowing that there is something from behind which is pushing us somewhere else than what we think it to be. We take it as a state of affair of human life, and it is so. What is there to be seen behind? That is the common way of looking at things. But whoever is a little sensitive, whoever tries to get into the root of things, he or she will try to go beyond that and find out that truly there is something which is going on. We might not be able to see through the veil which is just in front of us now. And until and unless that veil is lifted from our vision by the higher powers, it will not be possible for us to get any clue out of it. So whatever this thinking being in an unthinking world, what he tries to say, it is only man, the human species, that thinks. Nothing anywhere is truly known. Everywhere it is like a sea of the unknown, and in it man is an island. So beautiful. It is only man who thinks. Man is after all an animal, but not just an animal. At the same time, what he is that an animal with some instincts of a god. His life a story too common to be told. He is an animal, man is an animal, but although he is carrying all those animalistic instincts, he still has potential to grow into a god. He has signs of it that shows through. One day he may and can develop into God. But now, at the same time, Sri Aurobindo says that his story is too common to be worth mentioning. Because what is so great about man? Although normally we take human being at the pinnacle of things, of the species, ruling the whole earth, how far true are we in our perception? Because whatever we do, whatever act we undertake, in everything, as we have just seen, there lurks a seed of doubt, a seed of disbelief, a seed of failure finally. Then what is so great about man? So whatever he says is absolutely true. Yes, man is at present, seems to be the crown of this creation, but at the same time he is carrying all those instincts which belong to animal kingdom only. Earlier also, I believe we discussed about these things, what he says about man, that scratch a little, the beast will come out of you. That means all the bestial nature, animalistic nature is in us, but hidden behind our so beautifully put up veil, which seems to be so perfect in shape, perfect in dresses, and the way we talk. But if sometimes one happens to be confronting someone else, if someone else touches me in an oblique manner, that means cracks joke on me or says something rudely, what happens? Immediately I react. Why? Because the same animalistic instinct is in me, which is just looking for opportunity to come out. That is why he says, scratch a little, the beast will come out of you. He is absolutely true. So, his deeds, a number summing up to naught. Whatever he does, everything we can summarize as coming up to naught, means nothing, no fruitful action. His consciousness, a torch lit to be quenched. Whatever consciousness he is having now, we are having now, is something which cannot satisfy ourselves. His hope, a star above a cradle and grave. Whatever we hope for in our life, beneath the star, when we go, when we leave our bodies, that is when death occurs, we go to graveyard, we are in the grave, put in the grave. Just above the grave, up there in the sky, the stars are glittering, the same star, as if asking us, have you found out what you were looking for? That's a cryptic question, but then it's so true. We seem to be doing things furiously, in action every time, all the time, day in and day out, from morning till night. Seems to be very busy. Everyone seems to be very busy. But to what end? Because is it not that means the joy which we seek for behind everything? And do we get the joy as a permanent thing in whatever we do, in whatever venture we undertake, whether it be a small or a great one? I believe no. And the answer applies to all, I believe. But only thing is, what we do, we cover up things, taking that it is so in our life. It has been so in our life throughout ages. But that is what evolution is all about. And because we are steeped in ignorance, it doesn't mean that we cannot go out of this rung in which we are steeped in. That is ignorance. Because it is again the divine who grows in man. We might not be knowing, but everything, whatever exists in this creation, you, me, all that is in place, all that exists, everything is an expression, manifestation of the divine. And this manifestation has a purpose, and this purpose is to go back to its origin, that is the divinity. But going back where? Earlier it used to be leaving the body. Leaving the body, one can merge with the divine with lot of strict disciplines, sadhana, which the yogis used to do. But then again, not in this earth. One has to leave this body. But now the time has come finally, because everything is evolving. It is here only on earth itself that there comes the possibility of not only of becoming divine for oneself, but as a whole, as a collectivity, to put in other words, establish a life divine on earth. And the roadmap has already been laid out so beautifully by the dual consciousness of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. So that is why he says, Sri Aurobindo says, and yet a greater destiny may be his, for the eternal spirit is his truth. He is talking about man, as we see. In spite of all these, whatever we have found out till now, the ignorance, the falsehood, the incapacity, and the world forces, lower forces which are at work, for which it becomes difficult for man to progress. And even if he progresses, then it becomes slow, in snail's pace. But still, because within him the indweller is there, that is a portion of the divine, he is there deep down in each one of us. That is the eternal spirit which he speaks of. Sri Aurobindo says that in spite of all this, a greater destiny may be his. Man can have a greater destiny because his essential truth is the reality, the immortal spirit within him, which knows no death. The spirit which is eternal, it is not within the ambit of death. So he can create or recreate himself, remold himself all around, whatever he takes up. And fashion knew the world in which he lives. So he need not accept what the universal nature endows himself with, whatever the universal nature gives. As we said just now, that in the universal nature there are so many forces at work, operative in our environment, of which we are not aware. All the time we become prey in their hands. So when we become aware of all these things and consciously try to attune ourselves with the divine force which leads, which makes us progress, then it becomes easier, simpler. He ignorant is the knower beyond time. He is the self above nature, above fate. So at present, again, he says about man that man may be ignorant, and as long as he is on the surface, he remains ignorant. But there is something in him which exceeds time. That is the spirit immortal, eternal. When we are one with it, unite our outer consciousness with the inner consciousness, with it, the inner spirit, then we can go forward in great strides. And for that to happen, now there is a factor which is very, very important earlier, which was not there very concretely on the surface. That is the Divine Mother. This time it is a little different in the sense that whatever we do, if we invoke her, then it becomes gradually, if not immediately. And again, it depends upon the faith, the sincerity, the trust we put on her. Then everything can become in our trials. But for that to happen, we'll have to be a little sincere, and the rest we can put in her hands to take us onward. So that is the beauty, that is the opportunity we have, the earth as a whole, the whole lot of humanity on earth as a whole has right at this moment. So where else to look at? So this is it for the day. Jai Ma. And I would just like to tell something that for the next 1 month or so, maybe we will not have these sessions, and after a month then we'll resume again. Thank you. If you have anything. Okay then, thank you.